outside, but
Hey
somebody.
Mike, you changed hats. You had a Django hat on.
There we go. I put change back.
Yeah,
I got a
okay.
couple hats sitting here.
Yeah, I love Django. He's a good kid. Yeah.
We do too.
I
funny.
knew him when he was a kid. I don't want to get old on you here, so
It's funny that there was a night that Django was doing one of his online deals, and I jumped on and hijacked his Instagram live, and so did you. It's funny, we did it on the same. I quickly got forgotten as Jimmy Buffett came on Django Walker's.
I remember it. I was just up surfing somewhere, and then because I always was watching him, and I just saw that he was up, and I don't know what was going on, but there was something, and he was up doing some relief or something. Maybe it was a hurricane or something. And I went, yeah. So I didn't know. Sorry, I gobbled up your airtime there, Mike.
No. It's a good day for Django.
Damn. Okay. Well, cool. So what are we doing? Y'all do this every week?
Yeah, we kind of just, we're not very good at it, and we don't necessarily talk music. We just kind of talk about our aches and pains and what's going on.
Whoa, stop right there. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, Jim, I see what you've got on your shoulder, John.
Yeah, you got your calves by you?
I got 4 of them here, but they're not in here. We had a big cab alert this morning because one of them turned up missing, and they're so, well, they don't go anywhere. And Lola was missing, and I was out. My son and I were out fall boarding, so we were called in on dog patrol. And I'm going, that fucking dog didn't go anywhere. I know this dog. And then I walked out, and we were working on the board, and I said, she is on this property, but I mean, we had people, it was all points bulletin was out, and went up, and she was sleeping in my car. So
yeah.
Who is that behind you? What's her name?
This is Kingston.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So we have 1.5. We've got a Cavalier Bichon mix. Is our other calf passed? The heart problem a lot of them have.
Yeah.
The heart valve issue. So we decided to get like a crossbreed on another one.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, my daughter, my oldest daughter, and her husband have a Blay, and his name is Kingston as well.
From Jamaica, or why'd they go with Kingston?
Kingston for Jamaica. Yeah,
nice.
They're
there you go.
When she was small, I spent a lot of time dragging her to Jamaica.
My wife and I got married on the beach in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And these 3 guys all stood up with me, and that's why. So we got Kingston here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, hello, Kingston. All right. Well, cool.
You might hear him snoring. He's kind of old, and this is.
How old is?
That's his mode. He's 11.
Really? He looks great. No, mine are my boys. Gracie is 9. Lola's 7. My daughter got a little from Texas, from a breeder in Texas, and that's Pepper, and then there's Kingston. Yeah, we got 4 of them on property, and then my son has a toy husky, a funny, pretty little dog. So they're out there just running around today.
Well, we'll have to have a play date at some point.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. Well, cool. So what, y'all answer questions for people? What are you? We just talking and they're watching? How's this go?
We kind of wing it every week. We sometimes we do Facebook questions and answer the questions. Sometimes I play a song. We've had guests over the past, but most of the time, I mean, we kind of just need this fix because we've been spending for the last 20 years. We've spent most of our time together on the road, so we get our fix of each other for about 30 minutes, and that's about enough.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know. I do the same thing with my band, but the fun thing is we got, I got some little projects getting them together. Like on the album, we did a first, one of those disconnected videos that you can do. So just to keep everybody buzzing and in the loop, because we had about, in the beginning, they were doing those drive-in shows and that stuff, and but none of that stuff ever materialized, and I was a little cautious of it anyway. I didn't like the idea of it so just finding stuff for everybody to do together, and the Reeferettes started doing dance step lessons, and then there's about 2 or 3 other bands within my band when I'm not, because we only do like 30 shows a year, big shows a year now, and then we do a Europe tour. So it's not like we're out on the road like we used to be. So they have time, and what they've developed is within our fan base that they're, like Utley and Robert Greenwich go out and play gigs. Mac plays his gigs. Peter Mayer plays his gigs with his son. And so they kind of keep busy, and we just check in with each other every week too. So
Jimmy,
my band,
how big is your band now? How big is your band now?
Okay, I'm gonna say 14. Let me see if I can remember their names. It's been
Well, when you were starting out, like, is this the biggest band that you've had in your entire career? Or
yeah, I
like,
think it is, because when Full Total we got, because when Matt came in and we got Doyle Gresham who plays pedal steel, John Levels on trumpet. That when we go overseas, we kind of cut down a little bit to the basic band, but most of the rhythm section, they all live in Nashville, and Mac lives in Nashville. Mike Utley's in California, and then Robert Greenwich, our great steel player, lives between Trinidad and California, and Eric Darkin, who's like a session player in Nashville. When he's not working for us, he's like he's like one of the top percussion guys. He's this real white looking guy from Maine. You wouldn't believe it, but he kind of plays like Ralph and Compton, so that's good. I think it's 13 to 14 we got.
All right, very cool, man.
Can we borrow some?
Get on the bill in Texas somewhere when we get back together.
That would be
nice.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
We should start off by saying thank you for being a part of Saltwater Gospel. We've known for a long time that this song made us feel like we were hanging out with Jimmy Buffett, and so I think that you made that feeling really happen, and we appreciate it very much. And it couldn't have turned out any better.
Well, I'd only say this, Mike: be careful what you wish for. This all may be a facade. I might be a mean, angry son of a bitch,
You do have a reputation. Well, and then also, congrats on your new album. You've said quite a few times that this is your first album in 7 years, right?
Yeah.
So congrats, you #1 country album, and then you were #2 right behind Lady Gaga.
Yeah,
wow.
I met her one time, and I always liked her because I knew she was a real performer behind what they made her to be. Because she started as a bar singer, in clubs in New York, and to me, it's everybody that starts out. There's a difference when it's great if you can collectively write together and become writers, but if you have stage chops from little gigs and being a performer, it helps so much as opposed to just kind of trying to make it on a song, I think. And that's what I always like, because when I first heard you guys and I started listening to your albums, and then I kind of followed you, I knew that that's what y'all did. So did you go to school in Texas together at Northwest, at Northeast, where it was in Denton, right?
Yeah. North Texas, which it used to be North Texas State. Now it's University of North Texas. But yeah, that's where we all met, started playing music together, and got to the point where we were graduating and had to get real jobs, and we decided that really wasn't for us. So
that's exactly what happened to me. I saw all these other guys out there going, because by that time I'd been a street performer on Bourbon Street for 2 years, and I was kind of, this was Vietnam, and I was kind of, I was going to school in Mississippi, but working and living in the French Quarter. So it was like, and I learned my chops up there, doing that. And then when it came graduation time, I looked around, I went, I don't think so. There's not much out there. I got to go back to New Orleans and see if I can stay out of the Army, not get killed, and keep going here. So that's exactly what I did. But it was North Texas State then, but they were always known for, great musicians, particularly a lot of horn players that came out of there that went on to do great work with bands, right?
Yeah, their jazz program is #1 in the country. So a lot of like percussion players, drummers, and horn players come out of there.
Yeah. But I remember going, Denton, Texas. There wasn't a lot to do in Denton when I went through there. But I did.
wasn't a whole lot when we were there either.
Yeah, well, I had a girlfriend from Dallas who went to North Texas State, so you know how that goes. So.
Yeah, I drove through the middle of town a couple weeks ago. We did some studio sessions there at a studio called Panhandle House, where we recorded one of our first records. And so driving through town has changed quite a bit. I think that North Texas was always, when we were younger, known as kind of a commuter school, but that's completely changed. And the dynamic of that town is really, really cool. I mean, it was when we were younger, but now it's, they've done a lot to it. So it seems like a fun town.
Isn't Henley from around there? Did he go there for a while? I can't remember because he's.
Yeah.
I thought he was from Denton or somewhere close by.
Yeah, didn't graduate, but he went there. I think is the.
He did. That's
right.
He went, yeah. All right.
So Jimmy, the four of us all have young kids. Listen to the new record and the song "Cussing Island." Really hit home because we've been stuck. I mean, we're meant to be. We're on the road almost every weekend and have been for our whole career. And so to be home with our kids, our young kids, our impressionable kids for 5.5 months now, trying to find that filter to not let out a bad word. There are some nights when they go to bed and I just have to scream into the void, just all the bad words I know, just get it all out. I gotta find my own island. So that's a great tune.
Well, that is a true song. That was a true story. It happened in Panama on the boat. It all is true, and in the end, and I thought, but I would just say I wasn't a very good example in that, coming from a line of sailors, I do have the cussing gene, I believe. And then my wife had 4 brothers, so needless to say, she had to let out a few curse words every now and then. But I thought about when we were doing it, I did because I thought about it. Because people, when I first started, it was the first song I wrote in that whole series of songs because that 7 years between albums, I wasn't just sitting around surfing and goofing off. It was like, 5 of those years were spent actually starting to write, create, and then produce the Margaritaville musical. So that took a lot more time than I ever thought about. And that's where most of my, creative energy flow was going. So, but I was writing along and that happened. Cussing Island happened. We went to Panama right after I fell off the stage in Australia and I recovered. I went down to just see if I could surf again and not get freaked out. And so we went to Panama to do it. And that's where it was. We had the kids all down there. But it was, and then when I wrote it and I started playing to people in earlier stages, they said, man, you should make this a PG song, because it's really a kid song. And I went, yeah, but Cussing Island wouldn't be Cussing Island if you went over shoot, So
I love how you just at the end you just go for it, just kind of let it all fly.
Well, you know what? That's what I came. I went, what would I really do? And that's exactly what I did. And I went, I know that this will not be pulled as a single anywhere, so it's going to be what it is. And then, when I did Get Drunk and Screw the first time, people actually came up to me because I forgot at one time a lady told me the story that because there was like Little Miss Magic and like a couple of other songs I'd written for my kids were on that, which are really, I wanted to write one for some songs about all my kids, but I forgot to Get Drunk and Screw was on the same album. And so did some people. And so this woman sent me a note, and then I met her at a show, and she sent her my album with her kids to school for show and tell, and then got a call from the teacher. He said, "Do you know what's on that record?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "No, you know what he's saying?" She said, "I think he's saying get lunch in school." And I went, "Can I have that line?" So, and I've gotten mail. Let's see. Get milk and moo, get lunch in school. So started actually putting that into live shows when you'd see people with their kids in the audience. First time I'd do it, I'd go stick your little fingers in your little ears, but then I started utilizing things that had happened to other people who'd gotten in trouble on my behalf. But I'm glad you like cussing out, because it is true, and it worked for a while. You know, nothing works forever with kids, but for a while it was. But then it was the worst thing. You know, it was like, so when is cussing out? Can you move it? And then I remember my middle daughter said, well, you know, the Indians moved casinos off of their land. They put them in Fort Lauderdale. So you could have Cussing Island anywhere, right? And I went, no, it's in Panama.
Well, it hits close to home right now, that's for sure. We had a song called "Drunk Last Night" that I know my daughter was she was about 2 or so when that song first got released, and so there it was our house was a lot of "Drunk Last Night" vibe.
Yeah,
a lot of everything was all the merch, apparel, and all this, and so. But it was her favorite song, so it was one of those things that maybe we shouldn't post that on socials, but there's a whole lot of that.
That was her favorite song, huh?
Yeah. So
you never know,
So we've been doing acoustic songs of all of our acoustic songs, like one a week, putting one out of like our big hits. And we've kind of cycled through pretty much all the ones that made like our hits record. But notice that you've been doing like the songs that didn't go anywhere, like like the deep tracks.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? That was my middle daughter, who's a movie and a documentary producer, and a guy she went to school with in Pennsylvania. He works for me now. He's kind of my millennial expert, because I knew him as a kid, but he turned out to be a really decent kind of, and went to Yale, went to Goldman Sachs, got burned out, and I was waiting the time. I went, aha, now you really want to go to work? So so they're the ones who came up with the idea. And the funny thing was that, there were a lot of songs, after you've done this a long time, the hardest thing for me to do is to do a set list and put 26 songs. We still played like 2 hours and 20 minutes, and and you still, what you're gonna, to me it's an energy and a recognition factor, and I always play whatever, because I'm going. They're paying to hear this. This is not about what you want to play or hear. This is about what they're paying to play or hear. Just don't get too highbrow about this. Get their show in. There's plenty of room for you to figure some of those other things that you like to do. Right. The cool thing about this was, I had a few things. He went to Paris and 12 Old Men, some of my favorites, but I always close out and do one at the end. So they went up online and said, anybody wants to hear songs that now that's in the pandemic that Jimmy might do since he's not on the road, write some down. And we got 40,000 requests in the first hour.
Wow.
So, and then they started, I said, all right, you created this monster. Go out there and catalog. And so they did. They went in and put them in the number of people, and they went in and which ones had the most people that wanted to hear it. And it was a very interesting list for me. And then so I had to go back. I'd say 50% of them I could do on the fly. About 20% I could kind of do. The rest I had to go back and relearn.
Yeah.
But doing it, and then of course, she's 26 and Dylan's I think 27. So what they were doing was they were coming in with all this research and asking questions. And this is my daughter interviewing me. Get ready for that one. But and she'd go, well, you didn't play captain. You only played captain and the kid 3 times since it was written. I went, that's not true. She said, yes, it is. That's all it is. And I went, no, I've played it more. But then all of a sudden it dawned on me. I said, your source of information has only been around. I was playing before the internet was invented. And I know that there are certain nights that I played those songs that you didn't know I played. So doing it, and we're doing it now. And I don't think, like I said, I think it's promoters kind of they're desperately want all of us to go back to work, but I'm not going till it's safe for everybody to go to the kind of show they want to see that they're used to. And that's what they love about, again, is people that are performing and doing a show and hit songs are part of it. it's so much better than going out and playing your 2 hits and having to do filler, and it's such a better, it's a better performance. And that's why, bands that do that get loyal audiences, because they go for more than just a hit on the radio. They go for an experience. And I know that happens at your shows too. So, I'm now that they can't have it and we can't, they're kind of creating their own experiences and asking us to do it for them. So I'm going in the studio right now here, and I'm doing all of those songs acoustic, because they want to hear them. They want to hear, because we just did it with a little, it was one of those Shure 88 mic sets up with an iPhone, but they were all requesting back for me to go in the studio and do an acoustic album. I went, Christmas. They want it, they can have it, and I'm happy to do it because it gives me something to do. But I went, a Christmas album, an easy Christmas album. And then the other one I'm doing is I got all the songs together because I had to do a Zoom for a friend who was in the hospital, and his favorite song was Tin Cup Chalice. So, I'm up here and the boat was out front, so I just went out and I got that little camera and I did it myself, just put it on the boat, and I did Tin Cup Chalice, but I was sitting at the wheel of the boat, and some way wait till the sun comes down, so it'd be a pretty cool picture, and it's kind of a pretty scene. Then I sent it to one of my social media guys to see it. He said, "You need to do a whole album of this," and I went, "Oh, really?" So I'm going to do that one too when I take the boat south from here. Normally we'd be done with touring in the States now. We'd be getting ready to go do our little European run, so that's not happening. I'm looking now possibly being able to do that in the spring as opposed to the fall. So
yeah,
if all things go well and people like us again and we can leave the country,
yeah,
I'll be the first one on the boat.
yeah.
But in the meantime, they've given us all these opportunities to do things, and so I'm going to take my boat, and I used to go down and I'd run offshore, but I've always wanted to run the intercoastal waterway all the way down because it's so cool. And, and you've got on the East Coast, you got the Outer Banks and you got the Chesapeake Bay. And I've never been inland. I always sailed out. So I'm going to take my boat and just kind of drop anchor, but not go to places. I'm just going to drop and make myself a drink, sit on the back and play I'm going to play all sea songs that I wrote and ones that influenced me. And we're just going to shoot it, and it's going to be called Sag Harbor to St. Augustine, and that's going to be the trip. And
Awesome.
So I'm going to do that in September and October. Yeah,
that sounds awesome. You in a band with you?
Yeah.
Well, so I say when we get closer to Florida, if y'all, I got enough room probably for a 3-piece band on the back of the boat. Yeah.
All right. See you later, Mike.
I'll be the bartender.
Yeah, drummer and a bass player. But so what do y'all kind of, because that's what we're doing now. It's just the fact that people ask me, they say, how do you do that? What if there's nobody listening? Because I was supposed to do one of those Opry shows with Brad Paisley and Mac, and then, Nashville spiked and I couldn't go up there. And so somebody asked me, so what do you do for a little audience? And I said, look, I played bars where nobody showed up. And I thought I was getting the night off. And the owner said, hey, you're playing for the waitresses and the bartender. And I said, you learn again at that level. If you're a performer, they're going to make you perform. And, it's like you give as much to 2 people as you do 20,000. I said, that hadn't bothered me because I know they've already invested the money they'd spend on tickets and fixing up the backyard and watching our replays and watching what we bring them and staying home. And again, that other underlying factor that your kids are there and you start back to, none of us got here and before we had anybody doing shit for us. We did it all, So yeah. I'm back to, I was the dishwasher and taking the garbage out guy and, and I'm still the dog walker. So, but getting back into that level where you said, I think that's one of the things I was going to ask y'all about. For those of us that are touring bands and you at that point that you've got to really go out there and do it at the pace that it requires, that I had to do it for years. And then all of a sudden you're back in, your time was precious with your family, your kids. It always was with me, but somebody was asking me about that, and my lovely wife piped up, and she said, who's my wife of 40 something years, she said, I'll tell you how long he's been in one place, and that's 2.5 weeks in the last 50 years. And I went,
Wow.
no, that can't be true. And you don't say that to a woman you lived with for 42 years. She had it nailed. You know, I said, well, what about when I fell off the stage and I had to get home from Australia and then go to the hospital? She said, yeah, that's right. You stopped off in Hawaii to smoke some reefer and get acupuncture. That doesn't count. I went, oh, okay. So, but when you get back, it's been great fun. And for my kids who are older now, they're 40, 20, 28, and 26. You know, they're all here, and 2 of them are married. And but it's great having them, because I know at my age, I would have always seen them, but they're kind of nomads too. And they live, you know, 2 of them live in California, 1 in Florida. And we see each other for fun because we always want to, but to be in there every day, I probably would have never seen him for the rest of my life as much as I've seen him this year. And that's a real treasure to me.
Really is. And then that's the light of this whole thing is just being able to spend time with your kiddos. And I don't know if we'll ever have this opportunity to do it again, and them being so young. And it's just, that part's been a lot of fun, you know.
You take them on the road with you sometimes?
We used to when they were a little younger. You know, we've got 7 between, or 8 now. James and his wife just had a new one. 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got 8 between us. So that makes for a really crowded bus when all of them are going to come out. But we used to. Some of the older ones, like my daughter and John's daughter, used to.
When
come
they were
out
just 2, it was a little bit easier for sure.
Yeah,
when they were just 2.
Yeah,
but, yeah. As older, it'll be easier as they grow. You know,
my kids' jobs were to kick the beach balls back into the audience. And I told my son that he was like about 5 that time. The first beach ball, he just took it and ran off the stage. I went, "This is not part of your job." Yeah, kick it back.
Well, I know my daughter. She loves being out on stage. So she's every time we've been going out. Well, I mean, it's been a while, but she's always asking to go back out on the bus. So she's itching for it. I think she's itching for me to go out on the road so she can come with me. She's had all this time off from school, and so she's like, "Well, it's time for you to get out on the road so I can go with you." Like, well, it's not really working that way right now, baby. So
yeah. Well, yeah, it's going to be interesting how it works out like that, because, you know, what's working now is, you know, I don't want to go back in and until things kind of cool down everywhere and everybody kind of figures out that there's only a little bit we can do now until we wait for a vaccine. But it's not conducive to anybody going out and playing like that. So, you know, but when it does, you know, I'm just looking at when the next level comes. And like I said, to me, and I think that's true for you guys, but you know, I'll go play to 10 people. I mean, you know, it's just making that connection. I said, hell, the real story, if anybody wants to know, is when you do a big concert, you can only see about 80, you know, and all I do is remember 80, you know, and remember gigs that I played that were that big. And that's what you worked off of and got your crowd, you know, you connected up with an audience with the people you could see. You know, when you work clubs, that was pretty much most people. But now when you're in bigger venues, it's a minuscule part of the audience. But then you learn how to take that and then project it on out to the rest of them. And so, you know, I'm looking forward to that's what I think this little thing on the boat. Because my idea is I'd go, well, I'm going to go in and anchor like around 2 or 3 other boats, and then I'll start playing, but I'll have my guy with me. You know this guy, this guy, Adam Paul, he's a video director, 7 Stars. He lives in Nashville. They did, I don't know if you've seen Mac McAnally's solo one he just did. It's worth looking at. Yeah. It really is.
Big Mac McAnally fan, so.
Yeah. So he did, but he did it. The thing about it is they do big stuff. They did the Allman Brothers 50th anniversary at Madison Square Garden. He just did the Chili Peppers in Egypt, but he started out like a one-man producer, director, writer, and I got him going with me on this because it's you know, at that time that's all I could afford. Now he's got that pedigree that he's, you know, he could do big stuff, but he really wants to go do this. And so he did Mac as a tryout, and he did a man shoot of Mac down in Muscle Shoals. It's really good because I looked at the sizzle reel on him, and the thing that I noticed was you never saw a camera person on stage, you know, and
Nice.
it's, you know, I don't have to tell you how distracting it is when you're somewhere and all of a sudden the camera operator is obviously taking dance lessons, you know. And they have moves in which they're a part of. They can get, and they don't discreetly insert themselves into your entertainment platform, you know. So when you're you can't do much about it, you know, because you go get out the stage, God damn it. You can't kick them, you know. You can't do that. But he was that good at it, and I think that's what we're going to do here. And then, you know, if you can get a small group in and they're safe and they you know, that you could do it like that. We were looking at that earlier on to put, you know, 30 or 40 people in that, you know, first responders, the healthcare workers that were cleared and tested, you know, in a code, corona, you know, free environment. You could, you know, we looked at that as a way to have a few people in there that you could connect off of, but that's what I'm hoping comes somewhere between now and when we all go back to what we want to do.
Hopefully is by next spring.
I hope so too. My hopes are the spring for that. Yeah. And,
yeah,
you know,
this has all really made us appreciate what we've been able to do, you know, going out 40 some odd weeks a year and playing music for people. Like it's truly been a blessing all these years to be able to do it. And I don't think we ever totally took it for granted, but we definitely appreciate it to a new level now, and appreciate our friendship between the four of us that, you know, we've gotten to share over half our lives together. And it's just, it's weird that this is kind of the only way we do it right now.
Well, that's the thing that people don't understand is the fact that it is, you know, a band. If you're a road touring band, that's your other family, I think, you know. And that's, you guys know that. It's obvious to me talking to y'all, not meeting you before. You got that camaraderie. That's the same thing we have. It's just, you know, the first Zoom thing we did, you know, people start tearing up because they hadn't seen each other. You know, you're going, wow, this is weird, you know. But but it is. It's like, you know, you spend so much time out there, and I'm, you know, the weird thing to me was we were doing the first Zoom thing I did. Carolyn Jones called me and asked me to do it, and she was doing, and it was like One World or something. It was with, you know, things were still, nobody knew what was going on, but again, musicians figured out that people needed a little music before they figured out, you know, how to actually, what was going on and how best to be safe. People were playing, you know, because everybody, when the world stops touring at once, that's like science fiction to me. That's never happened in the history of mankind, you know, that all of a sudden, forget about doing business and stuff, but you can't go see a show, or you can't go see a show. That's the thing on the entire planet Earth. That's a big deal. Wow. That just shows you how much people really appreciate and need music. Not necessarily us, but that's why I again feel so lucky that somehow I tripwired right into this and made it my job. Was one of the luckiest things that ever happened, and I always feel that way about it. But to take that away, boy, I'm surprised people aren't more crazy than they are right now. And I think being able to get a little bit of music online or connect up with bands that they like still helps a lot soothe the savage beasts out there.
Absolutely.
Good words.
Yeah.
A little saltwater gospel there.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm ready. I got my parts, but I did throw Mother Ocean in at the end. I had to do that.
I caught that. Yeah,
Perfect.
that's awesome.
Love it.
Oh, it was
well,
perfect. I got chilled when I heard that.
When Reed first did it, I know Reed Shipman too, and he's such a great mixer. But then Mac sent it back to him. I went, oh, you can't take that out. Hey, I've got a deck to play with here. I can understand if I had been, living on an island for somebody and y'all found me and brought me back and revived my career. But I said, I just had a #1 country album. It's okay. They know who I am.
Well, I will say this: they never sent us a version without it. So,
oh, good.
If we would have heard it, we would have given them our opinion about keeping it in there.
I knew that. That's kind of why I called you first, Mike, because I said I need to talk to the band.
Yeah, no, it needed to be in there. It gave me chills first time I heard it. So,
well, great.
It's staying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thanks a lot. It's in my version too, because y'all made our set list when we go back. But I think by the time I do my my solo boat tour, I got it worked up. I got an acoustic version.
Hey, we can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness, because you're like me. There are not a lot of hard chords in there, and I like those kind of songs to learn.
Yeah. We like to keep it simple, Jimmy.
I've written a lot of them. Yeah.
Well, Jimmy, thanks so much for hanging out with us, brother. We appreciate it so much.
It's a pleasure to meet you, all the rest of y'all online, and keep up the good work. And we'll see it. It'll happen.
Yeah, we'll get
stay
there.
in touch.
Well, thank you, brother. We appreciate it, and thanks for being a part of the song. And congrats on the new record. And we'll
thanks
see you soon.
again. And I told Scott, Scott Bouchetta was my promo man when I was on early MCA, where they took me to Nashville and tried to make me country. That was the third failed career I had. So, but he's done pretty good since then, but he was my promo man.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right.
Yeah, you gotta
share it. Take it easy too. All right, boys, stay safe and stay in touch.
All right. Well,
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right.